an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Or you may have heard this before, Sunday ho ya Monday, roj khao ande. All these messages clearly tell us the importance of food in our daily life. We all love food. In our country, a party means so many varieties of yummy foods to fill your belly. Not only that, most of our festivals mainly revolve around special types of food. From the very first day on this earth, we cried for food. Good food makes you healthy and active throughout the day. Food helps you to grow and develop properly. We generally prefer to eat those things that we can digest easily and from which we can extract nutrition. In this video, I will discuss digestion, the human digestive system, and how we extract nutrition from food. Basically, digestion is the process in which complex food materials are broken down into smaller units. Digested food can dissolve in the blood properly and be absorbed through the cell membrane. Let's try to make it simple. We generally depend on rice or wheat. What is present in abundant amount in these foods? Starch. Starch is made of glucose. You can see that glucose units are joined together, and as a result, the molecule becomes large and does not dissolve readily in water. So, when we eat this, our body breaks these bonds and releases glucose units. Now, glucose is comparatively small, so it dissolves in blood and circulates throughout the body. When required, your body will internalize it and use it as an energy source. I hope now you understand what we generally do with the large molecules that we eat. The definition provided in your book is that digestion is the breakdown of naturally occurring foodstuffs into a diffusible form. We have already seen that starch is broken down into glucose from insoluble starch to completely diffusible glucose. We have also seen that rice does not dissolve in water, but 1 spoon of glucose dissolves in water very quickly. Another definition provided in your book is that digestion is any change that makes food soluble and of such chemical nature that it can be absorbed through the living membrane. You can write any one of these definitions depending on the marks. If the question carries 1 mark, you can write the first definition. But if it carries 2 marks, it is better to write the second one. Now, the problem is, which material present inside our body helps us to digest food properly? Here comes the most interesting biomolecule on this earth, called an enzyme. You may have noticed that your mother adds a piece of papaya while cooking meat. She says it helps the meat cook faster. Do you know why? Papaya contains an enzyme that helps to break down the muscle protein present in meat. So, cooking requires less time, and you can also digest the meat very easily. Another example I want to share with you will help you understand the catalytic power of enzymes. 1 teaspoon of sugar is converted into carbon dioxide only when we burn it in an open flame for several minutes. But if you eat 1 spoon of sugar, your body converts it into carbon dioxide and releases it while you are breathing out. Your body temperature remains the same. This is possible because of enzymes. Enzymes are generally protein in nature and accelerate the rate of chemical reactions several-fold at normal body temperature and pH. You have heard about chemical catalysts in the laboratory preparation of hydrogen gas, where zinc acts as a chemical catalyst. Enzymes are called biological catalysts. The function of enzymes is to speed up chemical reactions. Enzymes are protein in nature and lose their catalytic property if heated. They are very specific. 1 enzyme can degrade only 1 type of food. For example, an enzyme that helps to digest sugar cannot digest all. For the breakdown of oil, we need a separate enzyme. Here, oil and sugar are called the substrates of the enzyme. So, we can say that enzymes are substrate specific. When an enzyme acts on a food substance, it always ends up with the same end product. For example, the enzyme that digests starch always converts starch into glucose and cannot convert starch into oil. For example, glucose is converted into carbon dioxide and water, not into nitrogen and water. Unlike chemical catalysts, enzymes are not exhausted at the end of a reaction. They can be used again and again. Here, the enzyme acts on the substrate and converts it into a product. Once the product is released, the enzyme again takes part in another round of reaction. That means a small amount of enzyme is more than enough to digest all the food you ingest in one meal. Enzymes show maximum catalytic activity at a narrow range of temperature and pH, called the optimum temperature and optimum pH respectively. If these conditions are changed slightly, enzymes can still work, but the reaction will take more time to complete. I have merged the last 2 points into one. You can also do the same depending on the marks of the question. What questions can you expect from this area? What are the properties of enzymes? Write 4 important characteristics of enzymes. How do enzymes differ from chemical catalysts? To answer the third question, you can visit my community page. Now we will move to the next part. The human digestive system. It consists of 2 parts. The alimentary canal and the digestive glands. From the name alimentary canal, it is clear that it is a hollow muscular tube that starts from the mouth and ends at the anus. In order to increase its length, it is highly coiled. It is not a monotonous tube with the same environment and diameter throughout. The diameter of the alimentary canal varies at different locations, and the type of cells present on the inner wall is also different at different regions. Let us see the different regions and their names. It starts with the mouth, followed by the esophagus, stomach, duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. This region is collectively called the small intestine. Then the colon and rectum, which are collectively called the large intestine. At certain regions, some digestive glands are located, such as the salivary glands in the oral cavity, the liver, the gallbladder near the liver, and the pancreas. Although food does not directly enter these glands, they play an important role in digestion. They secrete watery, juice-like substances that contain most of the digestive enzymes. Do you know how much time food takes to travel through the entire alimentary canal? It takes roughly 3 days to pass through the whole alimentary canal of our body. Now let us see each and every organ of the digestive system one after another. The mouth, or oral cavity, is the entry point of food into the alimentary canal. It consists of lips, a muscular tongue, bony teeth, and 3 different types of salivary glands. One upper and one lower lip function like a door. They help in sucking and sipping liquid food and drinks. They also help to retain the food inside the oral cavity that we have just eaten. By closing the lips, we prevent food from coming outside. Apart from their digestive role, lips give us the sensation of hot or cold food. They also help us to speak. The muscular tongue is attached to the oral cavity at the back and partially at the bottom side. It helps us to taste food and mixes saliva with food so that it can be swallowed easily and manipulates food while chewing. Most interestingly, it also cleans the teeth after each round of a meal. Apart from its digestive role, the tongue also helps us to speak. You may have noticed that during COVID-19 infection, many people lost the sensation of taste and smell. Do you know why? There are many nerves that help us to taste food, such as sweet, salty, bitter, and hot. COVID-19 may interfere with the function of these neurons, and as a result, they are unable to send taste signals to the brain. Now we will talk about the most important part of the oral cavity, the teeth. Teeth are hard, bony structures. An adult human has 32 teeth, unless any are lost after fighting. They are arranged in a particular pattern in the upper and lower jaws. Their main function is to cut and break food into smaller pieces, thereby increasing the surface area. During chewing, the inner parts of food come outside. Now enzymes can access these areas also, and digestion becomes faster. I hope very few of you do not like to chew food properly and prefer to eat foods that are mostly soft. You all know that a particular food does not contain all the necessary nutrients, so you must try other foods in which those nutrients are present in abundant amounts. So, do not be choosy. No matter how hard it is, you must try to eat a variety of foods. Apart from their digestive role, teeth also increase facial beauty and help us to speak. There is a common phrase, teeth are not valued till they are loose. So, brush your teeth daily to fight against tooth decay. All teeth are not of the same size and shape, which clearly tells us that they perform different tasks. There are 4 different types of teeth: incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. This portion is also important for your examination. The 4 front teeth, 2 in the lower jaw and 2 in the upper jaw, are called incisors. They are broad and very sharp, just like a chisel. Their main function is to cut food. Small babies usually bite using these special teeth. The teeth located on each side of the incisors are called canines. They are conical in shape and pointed. They help to cut and tear food. Do you know that canine means dog? In dogs, canine teeth are very prominent. Most imaginary characters, like vampires, also possess large canine teeth. 2 premolar teeth are present on each side of the canines. So, there are a total of 8 premolar teeth, 4 in the lower jaw and 4 in the upper jaw. They have 2 hill-like projections and a cup-shaped upper surface. That is why they are also called bicuspids. Their main function is to grind and crush food particles. The last 3 teeth located beside the premolars are called molars. Their surface area is much larger than that of premolars. Their main function is to grind and crush food, similar to premolars, but grinding is more efficient in molars. The last molar is called the wisdom tooth because it appears when you are about 17 to 20 years old, when you are mature and intelligent enough. Because our teeth are of different shapes and sizes, we are categorized as heterodont. If the teeth of an animal are of the same size and shape, they are called homodont, for example in sharks, dolphins, lizards, and crocodiles. If you have a pet at home, like a dog or a cat, check whether their teeth are the same or if you can distinguish between incisors and canines. If yes, that means they are also heterodont. You may have noticed that during the development of a child, the number of teeth changes. Mammalian teeth are of 2 types. One type is called milk teeth, which start appearing at the age of 7 to 8 months, and the total number is only 20. They are also called temporary or deciduous teeth. They generally fall out and are replaced with permanent teeth. In between, there is a gap, and our elders often make fun of it. Doctors generally prefer to write a dental formula to indicate the number of teeth present in an individual. It is a numerical representation in which each jaw is separated into 2 halves, and the numbers of incisors, canines, premolars, and molars are counted and written one after another. Here, the upper one represents the number of different teeth in the upper jaw, and the lower one represents those in the lower jaw. An interesting fact is that the number of teeth varies at different ages. This dental formula is for a child who is just 2 years old. This one is for an adolescent, and this one is for an adult human. You can see that premolars are absent in children, and wisdom teeth are absent during the adolescent period. Now we will see the structure of a tooth. Although teeth are of different shapes and sizes, the basic structure of all teeth is the same. The part of the tooth that we can see is called the crown. It is the external part of the tooth. The portion of the tooth that is embedded in a cup-like socket of the jaw is called the root. The root consists of a single process in the case of incisors and canines, whereas in premolars and molars, the root consists of 2 processes. The region between the crown and root is called the neck. The internal structure of the tooth can be seen in a cross-section of the tooth. The outermost layer is called enamel, and it is the hardest substance in the human body. The next layer is called dentine. It is the most predominant part of the tooth. It is also hard, but not as hard as enamel. Minute canals are present in this layer. The pulp cavity is the innermost layer of the tooth. It is the soft part of the tooth. It consists of blood capillaries, lymph vessels, and nerve fibers. All these enter the tooth through a canal. That is why, when damage occurs, blood comes out and it causes extreme pain. The cup-shaped socket in the jaw bone where the tooth is placed is called cementum. It is also bony in nature. When cementum dissolves, the root of the tooth loosens, and ultimately the tooth falls off. When we smell or see tasty food, salivation starts immediately. I hope you have noticed this before. Saliva is secreted from 3 pairs of salivary glands located in and around the oral cavity. They are parotid glands, located in front of and just beneath each ear. The name is derived from the Greek word para, which means beside. It is the largest among the three salivary glands. Submandibular glands, lying below the mandible or close to the inner side of the lower jaw. Sub means below or under, just like subway or underpass. Sublingual glands, located below the tongue. You may have heard the term bilingual, meaning a person who can speak two languages. Saliva is secreted all the time to prevent drying of the oral cavity. While eating, the amount of saliva increases considerably. That is why most tasty foods are also called mouth-watering foods. Saliva mainly consists of water, around 99%. Apart from this, it also contains salts, mucus, and most importantly, enzymes. It is slightly acidic in nature, with a pH of around 6.8. One important enzyme present in saliva is called salivary amylase or ptyalin, which helps to break down starch present in carbohydrate-containing foods like rice and potato. When amylase acts on starch, it breaks it down into smaller units called maltose. Saliva helps to moisten and lubricate the inner parts of the oral cavity so that we can speak properly. When your tongue is dry, you cannot speak clearly. The lubricating nature of saliva also makes it easy to swallow food. Most simple foods get dissolved in saliva and excite the neurons present on the tongue, which help us to taste food. For example, sugar dissolves easily in saliva and excites sweet-sensing neurons. Saliva is also sticky in nature. This property helps to stick food particles together and form a mass called bolus, which can be swallowed easily. The digestive enzyme ptyalin converts starch into maltose. We have already discussed this. Saliva also contains another enzyme called lysozyme, which destroys germs that enter the mouth with food or air during respiration. The slightly acidic pH of saliva also kills many pathogens. Thus, saliva protects our body from some bacterial infections. When our mouth becomes dry, we feel thirsty and find it difficult to speak. This gives a signal to drink water and helps maintain the water balance of the body. After chewing food properly and mixing it with saliva, the tongue lifts upward and touches the roof of the mouth, called the palate. This action creates force, and as a result, the bolus moves to the next part of the digestive system, called the esophagus. Two other events must occur during this time. The soft palate closes the opening between the throat and the nasal passage so that food does not enter the nasal cavity while swallowing. The epiglottis closes the windpipe so that swallowed food particles do not enter it. If food accidentally enters the windpipe, we immediately cough and try to expel it forcefully. The esophagus is a tube-like muscular structure that does not secrete any digestive enzymes, but it secretes mucus, a slimy substance that also comes out from the throat when you catch a cold. Mucus lubricates food and helps it travel through the esophagus. When food gets stuck, elders often advise drinking some water, which usually helps. Here, the muscular tissue contracts and relaxes in a wave-like manner, pushing food toward the stomach. This wave-like movement is called peristalsis, and it is also found in other parts of the digestive system. The stomach is located just below the diaphragm. It is like an empty elastic bag and can hold up to 2 to 3 liters of food. Its capacity varies from person to person. Some people can eat more, while others eat less, depending on stomach capacity. Food remains in the stomach for about 2 hours. A cardiac sphincter muscle is present at the entry of the stomach. It acts like a rubber band tied at the mouth of a bag. Once food enters the stomach, it normally cannot move backward. It opens only when the stomach is overloaded or when spoiled food has been ingested accidentally. In such cases, the sphincter opens and food comes out. This process is called vomiting. Another circular, valve-like muscle is present at the exit of the stomach, called the pylorus or gatekeeper. It prevents food from entering the intestine before it is properly digested in the stomach. The cells present in the inner lining of the stomach secrete a digestive juice called gastric juice. It is highly acidic in nature because of hydrochloric acid. It also contains salts and digestive enzymes that mainly degrade proteins, for example meat, pulses, milk, etc. The enzymes are called proteolytic enzymes. The most important are pepsin and renin. The highly acidic environment inside the stomach churns the food completely. HCl not only churns the food, it also kills the pathogens that enter the stomach with food. HCl also helps to activate pepsin and renin, which were initially secreted in inactive forms. You may be surprised how the stomach itself withstands the acidity. It is adapted to highly acidic conditions because its inner wall is completely different and a thick layer of mucus protects it from acid burn. You may have noticed that hen or goat stomach is very hard to cook and very hard to chew. That clearly reflects how the stomach is adapted to an acidic environment. Few reactions are provided in your book. Here it is shown how HCl converts inactive pepsinogen into active pepsin. When pepsin is activated, it digests protein into smaller fragments called peptides or amino acids. Another important enzyme present in the infant stomach is prorenin. It also gets activated in the same way as pepsin to form active renin. The function of renin is to convert milk protein called casein into insoluble paracasein. The mixture of enzymes called rennet, and it is used to make cheese from milk. I hope all of you like to eat cheese. When digestion is complete, the food becomes churned and pulp-like, called chyme. The pylorus opens intermittently. The chyme now slowly enters the intestine. The full stomach does not empty all of a sudden. The small intestine is a long muscular structure that is highly coiled or folded. It is nearly 7 meters long. There are 3 subregions called duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. The duodenum is the upper part of the small intestine, which receives acidic chyme from the stomach. The name duodenum means 12-finger width. If we measure its length, it will be approximately the same as the width of 12 fingers. In order to neutralize the acidity, basic bile salts are mixed here. Bile is generally a greenish yellow fluid synthesized in the liver from dead red blood cells. The 2 important pigments are called bilirubin and biliverdin, which are responsible for the characteristic color of bile. The characteristic color of stool is also due to the presence of these 2 pigments. Bile salts also contain sodium bicarbonate that neutralize the acidity of HCl. Bile also reduces the surface tension of fats or oils and emulsifies them into small droplets. You have seen that when you add 1 drop of oil to water, the oil separates and forms droplets. If the drop is large, the internal core will be far away from the surface where enzymes generally act. If the drop is converted into small droplets, more enzymes can act on it. Bile is generally synthesized in the liver and transported through the hepatic duct and directly mixed with the food, or it can be stored inside the gallbladder and released when required. This duct is called the cystic duct. When it merges with the hepatic duct, it is called the common bile duct. Another very important digestive gland is located here that secretes pancreatic juice. It is located behind the stomach, and the duct through which pancreatic juice is mixed into the duodenum is located close to the common bile duct. Now, check why I told you this organ is very vital. It synthesizes various enzymes like pancreatic amylase that converts leftover starch into maltose. Although salivary amylase acts on starch, some starch molecules are still left, which are further degraded by pancreatic amylase. The juice also contains trypsin, a proteolytic enzyme that degrades protein into peptides and subsequently into amino acids. Like all other proteolytic enzymes, trypsin is also secreted in an inactive form called trypsinogen, which is activated by another enzyme secreted from the duodenal wall called enterokinase or endopeptidase. Unlike pepsin, trypsin acts in neutral or slightly alkaline pH. So, carbohydrate and protein digestion continue here. Steapsin converts fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Do you know that apart from its digestive role, the pancreas also secretes 2 important hormones called insulin and glucagon? In healthy humans, these 2 hormones balance blood glucose concentration. When the balance is disturbed, it can lead to diabetes. That's why I mentioned before that the pancreas is a very vital organ. Jejunum is the next part of the small intestine. It is short, nearly 2 meters in length. When ancient physicians used to dissect dead bodies for study or during postmortem examinations, it was found that this portion of the small intestine was always empty. That's why they named it so. The next part of the small intestine is 4 meters long. The name ileum comes from a Greek word that refers to the rolling or twisting motion of the intestines. If we see this part under a microscope, we can observe that there are many short finger-like projections present on the inner wall of the intestine. They are called villi. They enormously increase the surface area of the inner wall to around 8 times that of the outer wall. I hope all of you have seen a chimney exhaust pipe. It generally looks short because it is highly folded. If you try to stretch it, you will see its actual length is larger than before. In the same way, the inner wall is highly folded, but the outer wall is not. The inner wall surface area is greatly increased due to the presence of villi. They are actually responsible for nutrient absorption. Now, let's see how villi look under the microscope. A single-cell epithelial layer is present outside. Inside the villi, there are arteries, veins, and blood capillaries. Lymph vessels are also present, called lacteals. The nearly digested food is again attacked by intestinal juice that is secreted from the intestinal cell lining. Some of the important enzymes are listed in your book. You should try to remember them. For example, erepsin is a mixture of peptidases. The function of this enzyme is to digest small peptides into amino acids that are quickly absorbed by villi. Another enzyme, maltase, digests maltose and converts it into 2 glucose units. Sucrase breaks down sucrose into glucose and fructose. Table sugar that you have seen is called sucrose. Lactase breaks down lactose into glucose and galactose. Lactose is generally present in milk sugar. Lipids are also digested by the action of lipase and converted into fatty acids and glycerol. All these end products are small enough and can cross the epithelial layer of the villi very easily. After entry, all small nutrients mix into the blood and, via the hepatic portal vein, they are transported to the liver. Fatty acids enter the lymphatic system and finally mix into the blood. In order to complete the absorption process, the food travels very slowly in this region. It takes around 4 hours. When absorption is complete, the leftover food now enters the large intestine. Point to be noted here, that humans cannot digest all kinds of food materials. The food which is not digested is called leftover, and it helps in stool formation. The large intestine consists of 3 parts, called caecum, colon, and rectum. The caecum is a small blind pouch, located here in this position. It is the junction between the small and large intestine. The structure looks like a worm and is called the vermiform appendix. This structure is generally active in leaf-eating animals and helps to digest plant matter. But in our body it is inactive and functionless. That's why this structure is called a vestigial organ. When this area becomes inflamed due to bacterial infection and pus gets deposited, the condition is called appendicitis, and it requires immediate medical attention because it is very painful. The next part is called the colon, which is generally wider than the small intestine. This part is called the ascending colon, the middle portion is the transverse colon, and the last part is the descending colon. The main function of the colon is to absorb water and minerals from the leftover food and give the stool its characteristic consistency. The process of removal of stool from the body is called defecation. In cases of bacterial infection, intestinal function is disturbed. To form solid or semi-solid stool, water must be absorbed by the large intestine. But during infection, instead of absorption, excess water released from the large intestine that mixed with the stool, making the stool watery. This condition is painful, and you lose more water than normal. Therefore, your doctor advises you to take ORS to maintain water balance in your body. The last part is called the rectum, which opens at the anus. Stool is temporarily stored here because a circular sphincter muscle is present at this region. It opens during bowel movement to allow the stool to pass out. I hope now you understand how our body digests food and absorbs nutrition out of it at different regions of the digestive system. There is a beautiful summary chart provided in your book that clearly mentions the main functions of different parts of the digestive tract. It helps you to revise the topic very quickly. Now, we will analyze the composition of fecal material. We can observe that it consists of about 75% water and 25% solid matter. The solid matter mainly contains about 30% roughage, mainly plant parts that we cannot digest, 30% dead bacteria, 10 to 20% fat, and 2-3% protein. Now, you may be surprised why we are interested in stool. The reason is that the color, consistency, and odor of stool clearly tell us whether digestion is proper or not. If not, it helps to identify where the problem lies and whether there is any infection or not. In other words, stool analysis gives important clues to the doctor about the health of your digestive system. So that's all for now. We will discuss more topics from your Class 9 Biology book in the next video. Thank you.